All right, last week we discussed about storage account. So we are going to continue with storage account. We are going to see if we can cover some few things when it comes to storage account. Then we are going to move into something else. All right, so last week we created an Azure storage account, which I believe everyone can create. Then in the course of creating that storage account, we apply a tag on the storage account. You guys are versed with that. We created a blob container. We discussed the core services when it comes to Azure storage. Who can list out the core services when it comes to Azure storage? You can either use the chat or you can unmute yourself. The 5 core services when it comes to an Azure storage account. Who can list them? If I say who should list and explain, we'll stay here for the next 20 minutes again or so. So who can list? No time. So if you are listening, be fast. The core data services when it comes to Azure storage account, security, Azure Dix, Azure Block. Yes, Penda. Right on.
Sorry, my camera is off because I'm at work. But
Okay.
the four services in Azure storage account. So we have the blob storage, we have the file storage, we have the queue, and we have the table.
All right, perfect. So we have the Azure Blob. We said the Azure Blob is to store object for binary and text data, right? We said the Azure file, which we are going to do it today practically, is to manage file shares. We have the Azure queue. The Azure queue is a messaging store. We have the Azure table for storage of structured non-relational data. Then the last one, we have the Azure Dix. Anything Dix virtual machine, we call it the Azure Dix. So by definition, it is a block level storage for Azure virtual machine Dix, right? How will you get the note? How will you study? We have the Microsoft Learn. You guys have the Microsoft Learn. So if you have been going through the Microsoft Learn, which is going to be a project for today, go into your Microsoft Learn account, take a screenshot of your dashboard and send it to me. I repeat, go to your Microsoft Learn account, take a screenshot, and you send. Your screenshot is going to define, is going to show, how do they call it? The points you have been gaining so far in the course of you learning. So there you are going to be having the modules with all the different notes. You guys know how to do it. So it's not a big deal. So by the end of today's class, you sent me a screenshot of your Microsoft Learn account, your profile. All right, so those are the things we did yesterday, last week. We also saw how to lock a resource. When a resource is being put on, when a lock is being put on a resource, there are two things that will occur. The first, we have the read only, and the second, we have the delete. So if you put a lock on a resource and you say read only, it simply means you can only read. Whosoever is gaining access to your resources can only read. When you put a delete, delete is for an accidental deletion. It simply means you want to lock your resources so that no person should accidentally delete the resources. And just so you know, when you put a lock on a resource, for you to delete that resource or for you to delete that resource group, you need to delete the lock first, right? So if there is a delete lock on a resource, there is no way you can delete that resource. And if you cannot delete a resource, you cannot delete a resource group. Why? Because a resource group is a container of resources. So you deleting a resource group, you need to clear out the resources first. That's the last thing we did last week. And before we sign out last week, we downloaded the Microsoft Storage Explorer. So if you have the Microsoft Storage Explorer downloaded, installed on your laptop, let me know through the chat or give me a thumbs up. If you have Microsoft Storage Explorer on your laptop, that's what we did, or that was the last thing we did last week before closing the class. The link was being sent. I showed you guys how to download. The installation was direct, no complication. So if you have it, thumbs up. If you don't have it, thumbs down. So 30 seconds. Chris, I do. Okay, who else? No time. We have to be very fast. So you have to be very swift, active. All right, I see 2. I see 3. I see 3.1. Who is that point 1? Purity, you were in class. Foben, you were in class. Immaculate, you were in class. Easy, you were in class. As things, you're in class. Okay, we're going to work in with the Microsoft Storage Explorer today. So for those who do not yet have it, if you want to download it now, couple with the fact that you are battling with connection, you will just be disconnected. And by the time you are reconnecting back, we're going to be done with the Microsoft Storage account. So follow along on how to do it. And then maybe when we are done, you practice. Thank you, Penda. So on the chart, which link is that? Is it the one for Storage Explorer? All right. If you look on the chart, you will see the link for Storage Explorer for those not yet having it. So once you download Storage Explorer, let me check. Let me check from my site. Let me see. All right. Once you click on that link, it is going to bring you on the download. So it's going to download the Storage Explorer in the form of a zip file. So this is it in the form of a zip file. This is what we did yesterday, right? So you have to extract the different folders or the different files in the zip folder. So once you download, this is how it looks like. How do you extract? You right click. For those who have downloaded but they have not installed. For those who have installed, good and fine. For those who are still to download, this is what you're supposed to do. After the download, you right click on the folder. It is a zip folder and you click on extract all. And it's going to look like this. They'll ask you this message, you go ahead and you click on extract. When you click on extract, it will take few seconds and then it's going to be extracted. All right, let's wait. I already have it on my system, so I'm showing those who do not yet have it, or who have not yet installed, and for those who are still to download. Do not try, for my friends, battling with connection, do not try to download it now. Like the connections that you have activated, you'll be sorry. So just follow along. For those who have installed, you are good. All right, 27%. For those who have it running already, you bring it up. Bring the guy up. All right, the guy has decided to take time to extract. Okay, 30 seconds, and we are good. All right, so it has been extracted. So once it's being extracted, this is how it's going to look like. So I'm going to open the folder. I'm going to open the content. Where is the guy? Where is the guy? Which one did you download? It's not supposed to look like this. All right, let me go back. So I'll go to my search and I'll search for Microsoft Storage Explorer download. Let's verify that it's not supposed to be like that. So let me click on the first Microsoft Storage Explorer. We have it in English. Then I'm going to click on the download. Oh, I downloaded this guy. It's supposed to be the one for Windows. So this is the Windows guy. This is the one I am supposed to download. So I'm going to check the last option. The one I downloaded was for another operating system. That's why I'm not seeing the setup. So this is the one we have to download for Windows. So I'm going to click on this download. That's it running. Then I'm going to send you guys the link. I'm going to send you guys a link again on the chat just to make sure you have the right one. It should not be the Darwin. It should be the one for Windows. All right, it should be the one for Windows. So use this link I have sent. I'm going to send it on Discord as well for those who do not yet have. All right, let me write out something. So those, it should be clear. Microsoft Storage Explorer. All right, there we go. If you go to Discord, under TechUpYouths download, you are going to see it there. Sorry for those disconnected. All right, so let me see. Let me verify now if it has been downloaded. All right, there we go. So this is a Storage Explorer. So this is how it looks like. So if I open up this guy, if I click on right click open or double click, this is how it's going to look like, the steps. So this is what I'll ask you. First thing, install for me only. This is the one you're supposed to click on. That is a recommended. Once you click on that recommended, it's going to ask you the license agreement. So you go ahead and you click on I accept the license and you click on install. So once you click on install, the installation of this guy comes with the .NET 10.0.7. When we start building applications, we are going to need the .NET. Lucky enough, is going to be installed as well. So you click on next and it's going to run. It's going to take a few minutes. They are going to ask you to confirm yes or no. You go ahead and you click on yes. Once you click on yes, it is going to install. So that's just how to install Storage Explorer. Very straight and very direct. So this other guy, I don't know where you came from. So let me delete the guy. Let me delete this one as well. Okay, perfect. So it's installing. So you go ahead and you click on next, removing the 32-bit Explorer, bringing in the 64. I think we downloaded the 64. All right, so now asking for the destination, I'll leave it as default. Then I will click next, I'll click next, then that's the guy installing. So there is nothing there for you to change. Just be clicking next, follow the instructions there, click next, next instruction, next, and that's how it goes. Okay, so once the installation has been completed, go ahead and you click on finish. So when you click on finish, it is going to launch the Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer at once. So I click on finish. Mm, it's going to load. Then we are going to see what Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer looks like. And this is the guy. So everything is still empty. Everything is still fresh. They are giving us a little notification, June 2026, this occurred, then we don't need the information. So I'm going to close that box. So this is Microsoft Storage Explorer. So close whatever stuff you're seeing there coming from the notification. All right, so this is Microsoft Storage Explorer. So this is a third party. We'll come back to that. That's a third party program on how to connect your Storage Explorer. So now let's start. Last week we created a Storage Explorer. So for us to know how to connect our Storage Explorer, or sorry, our storage account to the Storage Explorer, we need to create a storage account. So we are going to be doing like a revision. So first things first, we are going to create a Storage Explorer. So what are the different labs we are going to be looking at today? Just so you know, we are going to see how to work on the Storage Explorer. By us working on the Storage Explorer, we are going to be bringing two security measures in place. The first, we'll be looking at how to work with the access key. Then the second, we are going to see how to work on share access signature. Remember, last week we discussed about the differences between access key and share access signature. We gave them. So today we are going to see how to apply them, right? The application of the access key and the share access signature is going to be done through Microsoft Storage Explorer. Then we are going to see how to do or configure a file share today. By us doing a file share falls under the Azure file. For us to do that lab, we are going to create a virtual machine running a Windows operating system or running a Windows image. Once we have the virtual machine, then we are going to create a file share, or we are going to create an Azure file. Then we are going to see how to connect. If we successfully complete that lab, then we are going to launch Linux today. So fasten your seatbelt. We are about to take off. All right, storage account. If you can see my screen, give me a thumbs up. All right, perfect. So storage account. But before we go, let me see those who are following up, those who are studying. What is an Azure storage account first? What is an Azure storage account? What is an Azure storage account? Is someone just surprised when I ask you what is Azure storage account? What are you going to say?
Uh, I will say it's a massive, scalable store for data.
Okay, perfect, but not yet complete. And Azure storage, it is a massively scalable. We know the meaning of massively. Explained last week, know the meaning of scalable. Scalable simply means it can be adjusted, right? Stuffs can be adjusted. So it is a massively scalable store for data object. Object goes at the level of being binary object. Disk storage for Azure virtual machine, files, reliable messaging, and non-related tables. So from the definition, you can bring out the 5 core data services: Azure Disk, Azure Blob for object, Azure Files for file share, Azure Queue for messaging, Azure Tables for non-relational data. And we said last week for us to create a storage account, by definition, it is a global resource, which simply means the name, it's unique. Two persons cannot have the same name. So I cannot have the same name with Immaculate. We are supposed to have unique names. So for us to create these storage accounts, there are 2 ways you can do it. Everyone now must be very versed with how to maneuver inside a storage account. So if I want to create a storage account, I can choose anyhow I want to do it. So I will click on the 3 horizontal. I'll go to my favorite and I'll click on storage account. When I click on storage account in the portal, we have one storage account. No person should delete this one. All right, so I'm going to create a storage account for today's class, which we are going to use it for whatever we are going to be discussing inside storage account. If you're writing, you write, also follow up. Now we are practicing. So you take down the steps. So I will click on create. Once I click on create, we know there are different steps. When you are studying, this is how you study. These different steps you are seeing on your screen while creating a storage account, before you click next, you understand why you are clicking next. So we have basics, there are different components, we have advanced, we have networking, data protection, security, encryption, tags, and the rest. So before you create any resource, you do need to define the subscription, you do need to create the resource group. So for today's class, we are going to create a new resource group that is going to host all our resources. So I am going to click on create new, and I'm going to put the name as today's or today resource group, and I will click on OK. Now, when I click on OK, they are going to ask me now for the storage account name. I'm going to put it as Store Tech Up Youth, right? Store Tech Up Youth 26, 2026. With the numbers, we make it unique. Do not use the same name if you are doing it at the same time. Use your name. Put store, Purity Store, Tech Up Youth 26, Immaculate Store, Tech Up Youth 26. So use your name. All right, for the region, I'm going to use Central US. For the preferred services, which we know, we have Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Storage. Azure Data Lake Storage goes deeper when we'll be talking about, or when you'll be picking a specialty in Azure. Then we have the Azure files, then we have others. Others, we have the tables and the queue. So for now, we are going to pick the first, Azure Blob Storage. Then for the performance, we have 2 types. We have the standard, then we have the premium. The standard is just recommended for most scenarios when it comes to general purpose V2 account, right? Which we are going to explain that. Then we have the second, it is the premium. The premium is recommended for scenarios that requires low latency. You know the meaning of latency. When it comes to latency, there are 2 types. We have the high and we have the low. We can distinguish the two. So we are going to leave it as standard. Then for the redundancy, last week we discussed about redundancy. There are different options which we are going to discuss in details. We have the low redundancy storage. We have the Joe redundancy storage. We have the Joe read redundancy storage. Then we have the zone redundancy storage. We know the meaning of redundancy. Last week I was explaining the different features when it comes to a storage account. So we took the whole of Friday, I think, or was it Saturday, and we explained everything storage account. So now we are just practicing. So I am going to select locally redundant storage. Then I'll click on next. Next, we have the advanced. We leave everything as it is. But we said last week, when it comes to a storage account, we have 3 tiers, as you will see, but there are four, right? We have the hot, we have the cool, then we have the cold, then we have the archive. The hot simply means optimize for frequently accessed data and everyday usage. So by default, every storage account is set as hot. Why? Because if you are creating a storage account, it simply means you want to store your data, and they are assuming the data you are storing, you want to frequently use them. So any data you want to frequently use them is being stored under the access tier of hot. The ones you want to access infrequently, they are being stored under the cool. And then the ones you want to rarely access them, they are being stored under the cold. Then the ones you want to keep them for more than 90 days, they are being stored as archive. Then the last one that we are going to see when we are talking about file share, it is called the transitional optimized tier. That one is for file share, right? It doesn't mean we're not having hot, cool, and cold. But when it comes to file share by default, the access tier is called the transitional, or is it the transactional? We are going to be there. We're going to verify. So for now, we are going to leave it as hot. We are going to click on next. The networking part, which we explain, you can create your storage account. It can be public, same as it can be private. So you can put it as public enabled, but you still go inside the public enabled and you determine the access scope. Do you want to allow it for all networks, or do you want to select your virtual network? Selecting your virtual network simply means we are going to be discussing about virtual network next week as the next chapter. But we have created a virtual network. A virtual network simply means your private network. The networking stuff we have been discussing, creating your own network, is the same in the cloud. Before you connect any resources, you can as well create your own virtual network, and you say, these resources I am creating, they are going to be in my network. That is the meaning of a virtual network, your own network, right? So there are two options. You can allow all networks to have access to your storage account, same as you can select the network you want them to access your storage account. We saw that last week. Or I can totally disable public access to the storage account. So for today, we are going to leave it as enable. Then I'm going to keep it as next. I'll leave everything as it is. Then I'll click on next. Security, I'll leave it as it is. Then I'll click on next. Encryption, we discussed encryption last week. We said there are two ways for you to encrypt your data. The first, we have the Microsoft managed key, where the encryption is being done by Microsoft. The second, we have the custom managed keys, where the encryption is being done by customers. For you to encrypt the data by yourself or by the customers, there is a new service that is being used, and the guy is called, what is the name? Who can recall? Those who are learning. 30 seconds if you are typing. If you want to do a custom managed key, there is a service you need to create in Azure for you to store key, secret, and certificate. What is the name of that service? Okay, keyboard. Perfect. So you need to create the Azure keyboard. Azure keyboard, it is a service in Azure that is being used to store keys, is being used to store secrets, is being used to store certificates. So we are going to leave it at the level of Microsoft managed key. Then you click on next. So when I click on next, We can create a tag. We know the meaning of a tag. A tag is a key value pair that is used for consolidated billing. It is used to organize your resources for consolidated billing. We know what it is. So I'll click on next, review check, everything is fine. Then we are going to click on create. So that's just how you create a storage account. There are many things you can do in the course of creating a storage account as you go deeper. So once this deployment is complete, I will not explain as I did last week. We are just going to proceed. All right, your deployment is complete. Any question so far before we move to the next? If you have any question, you can go ahead and ask. If you are good, give me a thumbs up. And we are going to proceed. Are we all good? Marco, Purity, Hillary, Lawrence, Mark, Chris, Easy, Collins. Okay. So now, for those writing, assuming everyone is writing. So the lab we are going to be looking at now, which I'm going to explain. What should I explain? One more time, Purity. Should I explain from the start or should I explain from the middle or the end? Which one? All right, I'm going to explain again as we progress. So the lab we are going to be looking at now, the next, we have created a storage account. We know what a storage account is all about. So we are going to be looking at the understanding of access key. Last week, we discussed about access key, right? By definition, we discussed about share access signature by definition. And what they are going to ask you in the course of your interview as you build your career, for those who take their career to the next level, they're going to be asking you a question like differentiate between an access key and share access signature, abbreviated as SAS. So in the course of explaining, we are going to be doing it. So while we are doing it, you are going to be seeing what you can do with the guys. So the first, understanding access key. Then the second one, understanding SAS. So those are the two key things we are going to look at while working with Microsoft Storage Explorer. Okay, so now in the storage account, this is a storage account we have created, right? We have our storage account, TECHUPYOUTHS 26. This is the overview page. In the overview page, we have properties where under the properties, we have the core services, we have the blob service, right? We have the file service, we have the queue service, then we have the table service. A quick question, why are we not seeing the dig service? Who can explain why? Why are we not seeing the dig service? We said there are 5 data core storage accounts: Azure Blob, Azure File, Azure Queue, Azure Table, Azure Digs. But after creating a storage account, we can see the blob service, the file service, the queue service, the table service. Where is the dig service? Who can explain why? Foben, right on, right on, right on.
So I think we cannot see the dig storage service because we said for dig storage is when we are creating virtual machines.
Awesome, great job. All right, the reason why we're not seeing a dig service is because dig service goes with a virtual machine. So that's why it's not listed. And we all know the definition of blob: object, storage, file service, file share. The next thing we are going to be discussing, the queue for messaging, and the table for non-structured or non-relational data. Then To the right, we have the security, right? When you're going in depth, into cloud security, these are the stuff we are going to be looking at when it comes to storage accounts. When it comes to networking, this is what we have. Then if you want to monitor your storage account, you know how to do it. These are the different options. Then for capabilities, these are different things you can do. When it comes to the storage account, you can host a static website, which you're going to have a video on the YouTube channel on how to do it. Then data protection, how to protect your data. When it comes to a storage account, then you have the life cycle, how to transition from the hot to the cool to the archive and vice versa. That is the meaning of life cycle. Then the front door and the container delivery network, which I explained last week. But coming back to what we are supposed to do, we have on the left, we have data storage, right? We have data storage. Under the data storage, we have the 4 core services: the container, the file share, the queues, and the table. Last week, we created containers. For us to proceed to have an understanding of these, our friends, access key, and share access signature, we are going to create a container. A container is the same as a blob service. A container is going to host your objects. Your object is the same as where you can store your files, where you can upload your videos, where you can upload data. And the maximum storage for this guy is 5 terabytes. So you can store stuff under your container up to 5 terabytes. If you are going more than 5 terabytes, we will be talking now about the data box, right? We're talking about different things, the data lake and all that interesting stuff. But for now, your understanding on the foundational level, you need to know the container. So how do we create a container? You click on container. Under container, as we said last week, whenever you create a storage account, there is a container that is being created. And the name of that container is the logs. The logs is being used to have stuffs with regard to your storage account. If you want to monitor your storage account, if you want to know more about your storage account, anything happen anything happening in your storage account is going to be under the logs. So I'll go ahead and I will click on add container. When you click on add container, I am going to put a name. I'm going to put it today as class container. Under this class container, I'm going to click on create. The container has been created. Once the container has been created, I am going to click this container, which simply means I'm going to go into the container and I'm going to upload an object, right? I can upload an object or I can add a directory, right? We haven't done this part. So adding the directory, we are going to do it under file share, but you can as well add a directory. Adding a directory simply means you create a virtual directory. A virtual directory does not actually exist in Azure until you paste or upload blobs into this guy. So we are going to cancel this guy and then we are going to upload our object. Where will the object come from? It will come from your file explorer, which is a library of your system. So when I click on upload, a small panel is going to appear. Then I am going to click on browse for files. What we did last week, we are repeating, right? I'll click on pictures. Then I am going to upload something. For example, let me say I am uploading let me pick up a picture and I'll click on open and it has been attached. I'm going to click on upload. So once you click on upload, there we go, it has been uploaded. Now this guy that has been uploaded, while we're creating the storage account, we set the networking as public, which simply means you guys, everyone is supposed to see what I have uploaded. But because of the default security of a storage account and because of the default security of a container, blob service by anonymous, it has been disabled as we saw last week. So if I want to view this container, as we can see, if I click on this object and I copy the URL, URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. URI stands for Uniform Resource Indicator. Do your research, differentiate between URL, URI. So if I click on this link and I go to a new tab and I paste this link, we will realize that we are going to have an error message as we saw last week. Now, my question to you guys, who can explain why we are having this error message? Who can explain why we are having the error message? Who can explain? Who can explain? We saw that last week. Those who have been creating storage accounts in the portal, what have you been doing? It's not you doing the labs, it's you doing it and you understanding what you are doing. Doing is one thing, understanding is another thing. So you do not just do, you do and you understand. Purity said, because you have not sent the link for the picture to be publicly accessible. Okay, if that's what you're saying, then this is the link. The link is on the chat. So click on the link and see if you'll be able to assist. Sorry, if you'll be able to access what I have uploaded. From my side, I cannot see. Error message. It simply means publicly you cannot see. But in the course of creating a virtual machine, the public access was enabled. So the reason why we all cannot see what has been uploaded, but I know what has been uploaded. If I click on the edit, I am going to see what I have uploaded, right? A thumbnail of how to install CentOS 7 on Oracle VirtualBox, right? This is what I have uploaded. Privately, I can see. Publicly, we cannot see. The reason why we cannot see is because two reasons. First, the access level is marked as private. If I change the access level to blob, which is public, what are we seeing here? Anonymous access to this container is being blocked because we know by anonymous under blob service, it is marked as disabled. So what you are supposed to do is for you to go one step behind to the storage account and you go to the overview page, and under the overview page, you go to scroll down to properties where you have blob service and you look for blob anonymous access. And you realize that blob anonymous access is marked as disabled. For you to see that guy publicly over everything uploaded publicly, you need to change this guy to enable. So how do you do it? You click on disable, it will bring a new page. In this page, you look for allow blob anonymous access. Then you click on enable. Then for you to know more, you click on this small notification stuff here, and I'll tell you what the anonymous simply means. So when you allow blob anonymous access, one is permitted to configure container ACL. ACL stands for Access Control List. It is a layer of security that is being attached to resources, right? So that is why you have the anonymous enable, anonymous disable. So once you click on enable, you go ahead and you click on save. Now, when you click on save, after it has been updated, you need to, let's check. All right, successfully updated. So once it has been updated, you go ahead and you refresh the portal, or you refresh your tab. So once the tab has been refreshed, we are going to go back to the container. So I'll click back on my container and I'll go to the container that we have created. At this point, I will now change the access level from private to blob. And what we see, it is not the anonymous disable, but now it can be changed from private to blob. Go ahead and you click on OK. Once you click on OK, it has been changed. So if I copy this link again, and I go to a new tab on my browser and I paste that tab and I do refresh, what are we going to see? We are able to see the stuff I uploaded. If you go to the link on the chat and you click on that link, you are going to see what I am seeing. So that's how to do it. Now, with the understanding of what we have covered, it will take us now to where we are going to. Which one did I close? Still error because latency. Remember, we discussed about low latency, high latency. The reason why you guys are still seeing error is because you have to refresh a couple of times for it to capture with your speed, but everything is good so far. Okay, so let's proceed. I've canceled something I was not supposed to cancel from my different pages. Okay, so corporate wise, you are not supposed to do it the way we have done it, right? Corporate wise, you don't do it this way. So for you to give access to individuals in your environment, in the company, and individuals or employees out of the environment, it's been done in 3 ways. The 3 ways I am going to explain, and then we are going to do the 2 first ways. The first is called key access. Key access simply means I want to give access to Purity to have access to my container, but I don't want Purity to have access to everything in my storage account to have access to all the different data services, which simply means I don't want her to have access to file share, to queue, and to table. I want her to have access just to the container. So I am going to give her access based on just what she needs, right? This one is not the role as we know. This one falls under the access key. The same as I can use the share access signature. Now, the difference between access key and share access signature is simple. Access key, there is no time bound. It simply means if I give access to Purity, to Immaculate, to Lawrence, to Mark, to Armstrong, or to whosoever, those guys, those guys have limited, unrestricted permission to whatever I'm going to give it to them. So there is no time that the permission is going to expire. So if I say, okay, you have access to my container, you have access for life until I delete the access. The second one is a share access signature, which is more advanced than access key. So if I want to give access to someone, to an employee, to have access to my storage account, to have access to my container, I will tell that person, you can only write, you can only read, you can only delete, you can do this and you cannot do that. For you to do this, you are going to have the permission to do it from this time to that time. So you have 2 hours to work. After 2 hours, I will not come back manually and I'm trying to restrict that person. Automatically, the key of that person is going to expire. So putting all the long story aside, this is how you do it. So I will close what you see from my screen, and I will go to the storage account itself again. Then on the left, the two things I have mentioned, it falls under security plus networking. Under security plus networking, we have access key, we have share access signature. Access key, share access signature. We start with the first. The first, we have access key. So I will click on my access key. Now we can read the notification for you to know more before we do it. Access key authenticate your application's request to the storage account. Keep your key in a secure location like Azure Key Vault. By definition, we said an Azure Key Vault, it is a service that is being used to store keys, secret, and certificate, right? And replace them often with new key. The reason why they say replace with new key is because if you look on the portal of the storage account, you have key 1 and key 2. And I can easily rotate. Why do you rotate a key? So if I send my key to Hillary, for example, this is a key for you to access my storage account. And maybe while I was sending it to Hillary, there was another person seeing the key, or there was a third party middleman attack. In security, they call it MOD, middleman attack. So that person goes ahead and copy the key, and that person is going to have access to the storage account, though I did not authorize that person. So for me now to cancel every person that is being connected to the storage account, I am going to rotate the key. Once a key is being rotated, automatically every person connected to that storage account is going to lose access. So let's go ahead and see how to access the storage account. So we have two keys. The first, under access key, we have the storage account name, which is the name of the storage account. Follow along, we are going somewhere. The second, we have key 1, we have key 2. Under key 1, we have the key, then we have the connection string. So if I click on show, you see this is a key. You can never memorize. This is a connection string. You cannot memorize. So how do we externally, me giving it to someone to access my storage account, how can that person do it? Now we are bringing the knowledge of Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. So this Microsoft Storage Explorer, it is a software from Microsoft that helps employees to access their storage account on a restrictive mode, right? If you look on the Storage Explorer, you are going to see storage account. This storage account, is it going to show our storage account we have created? No. So if you look here, you are not seeing the storage account we have created. Why? Because it has not been connected. How do you connect storage account to Storage Explorer? So there are different options. This first option is giving us this first option. The second one, the first option is giving us the Explorer itself, where it is going to show the storage accounts and the rest. The second interface of a person is going to show us the account manager if you want to connect your storage account to the Storage Explorer. You see, I'm going to explain this. We are going to do it. Then the next is giving us the connect dialog. If you want to connect, let me click on it. All right. If you want to connect the different resources when it comes to a storage account, so you will see the subscription. If you want to connect your entire subscription, you can do it. If you want to connect your entire storage account, you can do it. If you want to connect just the blob container, you can do it. If you want to connect just the file, you can do it. Queue, tables, you can do it. You see. So you can go ahead and you do just those things. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you guys is I want to connect my entire storage account through the Azure Storage Explorer. This is how we do it. I will take it back. Once you open the Storage Explorer, you click on, let me cancel. You click on the third option. If you can see my mouse, you click on the Connect dialog. When you click on the Connect dialog, it is going to open up Connect and Azure Storage. What do we want to connect? We want to connect the entire storage account. Now, if I connect the entire storage account, it simply means all the data services are going to be connected. So that's the first thing I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to click on the second option, storage account. So I will click on this option. Now they are going to give us three things. The first, the screen is kind of small, so you manage, right? I don't think I can zoom it. The first option, you have the connection string, right? The second option, the connection string is the key or the SAS. The second option, it is a share access signature URL. That is the second lab. The third option is the account name and key. Account name and key. So I am going to select the third option. Let me scroll down. I'm going to select the third option, then I will click on next. When I click on next, see what they are asking us. They are asking us for the display name. The display name just simply means the storage account name. The display name is going to reflect the same as the storage account name. Then the last one is the account key. Where will you get this information for you to connect to the storage account? This is where you get it. You go to your portal. This is your portal, and you are going to see the storage account name. So you go ahead and you copy the account name. So I am going to copy. I'll go to my Storage Explorer and I'll come here and I will paste. Once I paste the account name, it is going to reflect on the display name. The next thing they're asking us is the account key. Do I know the account key? Yes. I'll go again to my portal and this is the key. You see key 1. I am going to copy key 1, right? I am going to copy key 1. I will come back to this guy. Then I am going to paste. So once I paste, we are good to go. Now, the storage domain, we have 4 options. We have the Azure, which is the public Azure. The second one, we have the Azure China, which is for the China government. We have the third one, which is the US Gov, which is for the state, the federal Azure portal for the government. Then we have the others, right? Different countries and their different government portals. So we are going to select the first, which is the Azure, you and I, for public access. Then I am going to click on next. When I click on next, this is what we have. Connect. It's going to load and we are connected. What do we see? You see, what do we see? You see store TECHUPYOUTHS 26. This is the name of, let me see if I can increase the size. Zoom in, okay. So you guys can see. If you can see perfectly, give me a thumbs up. If it is clear from your side, confirm with a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So I have connected my storage account using access key. Now look at the access key. I can see the name of my storage account. Under that storage account, I can see the 4 data services. I can see the block containers. I can see the file share, I can see the queue, I can see the table. Have we created any table? No. Have we created queue? No. Have we created file share? No. But have we created a block container? Yes, right? So if I click on the drop arrow, what do we have? We have class container. That's what we created in the Azure portal. I am not in the Azure portal. Where am I? I am inside the Microsoft Storage Explorer. So if I click on class container, this is what we created inside the portal. Now I have access to the object. You see, Linux thumbnail, right? This is what we uploaded in the portal. So I can control my storage account out of the portal. That is the beauty of Storage Explorer. So I can as well upload from the Storage Explorer. So if I click on upload here and I go to upload files, it will take me to my file explorer, and I'm going to look for a picture as well. You see, now they're giving us different options. You see selected files, no file has been selected, and then these three dots you are seeing here, the three dots simply means they want to connect you to the file explorer. So if I click on these three dots, it will bring up the file explorer. Then I will go to pictures, and I'm going to select another thing, right? And I'll click on open, and it is going to upload. This thing is not magic. It is just for you to practice, right? The more you practice, that's how it's going to be swift and easy for you. So once you upload, you click on upload, and it is going to be giving you notifications on what is happening. And there we go. So now inside the Storage Explorer, what have we done? We have uploaded another object. If I go to the cloud in my Azure portal, what are we going to see? We are going to see, if I go click on containers and I go to the container, we are going to see what we have uploaded. Now we see two. Simple. That's how you work with Storage Explorer. So everything I am doing in my Storage Explorer synchronize with the Azure portal because I have connected my storage account to what? To my Storage Explorer. Corporate wise, can you still do this? Corporate wise, can you still do this? Yes and no. No, because let me close a little bit. No, because everyone having your key is going to see all the four data services, right? All the four data services. Remember, when you hear of a tech person, there are three things. There are three things that holds your career. Be it a software developer, be it a cybersecurity expert, be it a solution architect, be it a web developer, be it a graphic design, or whatsoever you are doing, or you choose to do in your life. There are three things we are all supposed to know. The first, you must know how to troubleshoot. There is no person you will hear as a tech person that does not know how to troubleshoot. That is where your career starts. How to troubleshoot, how to identify a problem, and how to bring a solution. That is why they are going to pay you thousands of your currency for you to fix, for you to know how to identify and how to bring a solution. So you need to know how to troubleshoot. The second thing, you need to know how to monitor, right? Before you troubleshoot, I can put monitor the first. Before you troubleshoot, you need to know how to monitor. The monitoring part brings in, if there's an issue, this is where the issue is coming from. Then you will know how to fix that issue. So monitoring. So monitor, troubleshoot, and the last one is security. That is why the security job market is always going to be on a rising mode. Always, there is not going to be any threat when it comes to security, be it AI. AI will never threaten the role of a security person. Why? Because Every day you open your door, you are inviting hackers. Every day you're opening your door, you're inviting thieves. So that is why security is on the edge of always, always looking for people that know how to secure to enter the job market or the job space. So there are three things you need to have at the back of your mind while you are building your career: monitor, troubleshooting, and security. So the security part of what we are talking about, if I send my storage account to Penda and I send the key, what happens? He has access to all the data services, right? Which simply means I have limited my security. So he can undo and do anything because I have given him full access. That is access key. Access key simply means I'm giving you access, but that access is not limited, right? That access is not limited. So right here, you can go ahead. When you are doing it, you can play with your storage account. It's not going to harm your laptop, right? You can play, you can look at the different options. You see, if I click on this guy, there are different things. I can do a clone of this guy. I can delete this guy. I can download this guy. So there are a lot of things you can do, right? Inside the Storage Explorer, play with the guy. They have given you to play. You are learning, so play with them. Know the different features. It's not difficult. So this is access key. That is why you are seeing they are showing you key because you got connected through access key. Welcome on board, Hope. Now, the next thing we are going to be looking at is the share access signature, right? Now, with the share access signature, you are going to see the difference. Now, before going to the share access signature, I'll take it one more time for you guys to understand before we move to share access signature. So these storage accounts, I can disconnect it from the Storage Explorer. How do you disconnect your storage account from? How can you disconnect your storage account from Storage Explorer? I can just click. This is my storage account. I can right click, right? I can right click, and then if you go down, you will see detach. Detaching simply means I want to remove it from the Storage Explorer. So if I click on detach, it's going to ask me this question. I'll go ahead and I'll click on yes. And what happens? It has been detached, right? It has been detached. So I want to refresh this guy. It has been detached. So I'm no longer seeing my storage account. So let me repeat again what I've been talking about. This time around, I'll be a little bit fast. For those disconnecting and connecting, you are doing well. But remember, the recordings are still there. Wherever you are lost, bounce back to the recording and you follow along. Those who are joining late, we are doing storage account. We are continuing from where we stopped last week. So for us to do what we have been saying, I will click on the connect, this guy. I will click on this third option, which is the connect dialog. If I click on that guy, we see different options. The first one I did was the storage account. I can bring in my subscription. Subscription simply means I am bringing in my entire subscription to the Azure Storage Explorer. I can do that privately because I want to learn. I want to see how it's going to look like. But corporately, you don't do that. Okay. Now, what we just did was at the level of the storage account, me bringing in the storage account in its fullness, right? Me seeing the queue, me seeing the blob, me seeing the table, and me seeing the file. I can as well, I want to say, this guy, I have created a storage account. I have created a container. I want you to have access to my container and upload me some files from your site. so that I can have access to them. You get the sense? Now, I don't want that person to have access to file share, or for that person to see file share. I don't want that person to see the queue. I don't want that person to see the table. I want that person to see just the container. So I am going to, not this time, be clicking on the storage account. I will click on blob container. Now, when I click on blob container, there are three ways you can connect to the blob container. The first one is sign in using the OAuth. OAuth stands for, the auth there stands for authentication. It is a way you can authenticate your storage account to connect to blob services. The second option is using share access signature. And the third one is using anonymously. My blob container allow public access. We know this option. So if I click on this option, right, we know how to use this option. If I click on next, they'll ask us for the display name, and they'll ask you to put the blob container or the directory URL, right? Now, this is the option we do not want to use. This one, it is a junior level. Though you are building a foundational level, but you want to have an understanding of what you are doing. So I am going to click on share access signature. But before coming to this, I'll go back to my portal to explain. Now, under this container, this is the container. Under the container, we have the security part of the storage account by itself. Then we have the security part of each containers. So under this container, we also have security. So if I click on settings, what are you going to see? Share, access, tokens, and then you have access policy. So I can secure a container as well as I can secure the entire storage account. So if I want to secure just this container, I will click on share access token, which simply means whosoever I want to give access to, I'm going to restrict that person just to the container. Are we getting the point? So for me to restrict that person just to the container, I am going to use what is called a share access token. Share access token is when it comes at the level of the container. Share access signature is when it comes at the level of the storage account by itself. So if I want to restrict the container, you see additional stuff. Access key, all the stuff you are seeing here, it was not there, right? That makes the difference between access key and share access signature or share access token. So I can come to this guy and I say, I want to give access to Foben, but I want Foben just to read the container. Foben cannot add or upload anything in that container. Foben cannot create anything in that container. Foben cannot write, Foben cannot delete, Foben cannot list. Foben can only read. So the permission now is defined based on the SOP of the company. SOP stands for Standard Operational Procedure. It is very simple. It is a documentation. That is how you call a document when you are documenting tech stuff. For example, the stuff you guys submitted on Discord. Let me show you. It's very simple. Now I am using a corporate tech name. When you go to, for example, if I go to chat and I click on, for example, Ange, you are going to see she has submitted from Rwanda. She has submitted her assignment, right? This assignment contains tech stuff. It contains explanation of resources. It contains screenshot of what she has been doing. You get? So a combination of what she has done and what those who have submitted their assignment did is called SOP. That's how you call it. SOP simply means you as an employee You as an employee, whatever you are doing, you are documenting. If you are working on a project and that project entails creating an application, so whatever step you are doing, you are explaining in the form of a document. It is called SOP. Why are you doing it? You are doing it because if another employee is coming up or they are bringing another employee in the team, it will be easier for that new person to catch up. That is why when they are employing you, you are not going to start working that same day. You have like a month or 2 or 3 based on the policy or compliance of that company for you to go through training. The training you are going through is them giving you that SOP and be like, this is our infrastructure. This is how to do it, right? So the difficult part of learning tech is the learning part. The difficult part of knowing tech is the learning. The working part is very easy. So the difficult part is what we are doing right now. But once you pick up the learning and once you know how to sell yourself for a company to employ you, then inside that company, your work is very simple. Because first of all, they will train you. Not all companies will train you, for example. But the fortune companies, the big companies that will train you, they will still tell you what you know based on their infrastructure. They will provide you documents on how to work on things, guidance. So it makes your work easier as compared to other stuff. So this is share access token. So if I want to do this, I'll go ahead and I'll say list, right? And I'll add more permissions and I will select key one. I'll put a start. This is when you are going to have the access, and this is when your access is going to stop. If I go ahead and I use this automatically, by this time, if you are having access to my container, by this time, the access is going to expire and you're going to lose access. So that is the power of share access signature. So let's do one. I will click on allow protocols, right? You can play with it when you are doing your lab. Go ahead and play, do a lot of stuff to discover. So I will click on generate SaaS token and URL. So once this has been generated, this is what they're asking from us when it comes to Azure Explorer. I'll go now to this Azure Explorer. You see, I will select the second option, share access signature, right? Share access signature, and I'll click on next. Once I click on next, they're asking for the display name. They're asking for mandatory, the blob container, or the directory SaaS URL. Do I know this? Yes. I'll go now to my storage account portal under the container, and this is the guy here. Blob SaaS token and blob SaaS URL. What are they asking from us? URL. So I am going to copy the URL and I'll come back to my storage explorer and I'll be like, I now know what you're asking for. This is what you're asking for, and I'll paste it there. Once you paste, automatically they'll copy the name from the URL and you go ahead and you click on next and you go ahead and you click on connect and it has been connected. What has been connected? The blob container. In as much as you are going to see these other guys, but you do not have permission to see anything inside the file share. You do not have permission to see anything inside the queue. Neither do you have permission to see anything under the tables. So the only thing you have access to is the blob container. Can I create another container? Can I create another container? Yes or no? Can I create another container? Can I upload? Can I delete? Yes. For example, let's do it. Now, if I click on file share, if I say I click on file share, you see, there is nothing. It's not showing us anything, right? If I close this guy and I click on file share, nothing is showing. Nothing has even been created, right? If I click on queue, nothing is there. If I click on table, nothing is there. If I click now on this container, what am I going to see? I'm going to see my container. Can I delete object in that container? Yes, I can delete. So if I select this guy and I click on delete, can it be deleted? Yes, it can be deleted. Why? Because I gave permission to that key. Simply means share access signature was given multiple permissions for it to delete as well. Okay, so now look at something. Fail to start delete, insufficient credential. Did we select this the delete? I don't know. I thought so, but now it's not about thinking, it's about verification. So let me go back to my portal and verify. This is the permission. So let's verify. We have 4 selected. Let's look at the ones we selected. Are we having delete? You see, delete was not selected. That is why, yeah, I cannot delete. So you see the sense. This is how you do it corporate wise. You give what whosoever is requesting access to. So if you want to give access to someone to get access to whatever you want them to get access to, you tell them or you restrict them based on what you want them to see. So that's how share access signature operates. Any question? Any question, Purity? Before we move to the next. If you have any question, this is your moment. Collins, any question? Chris, any question? Easy, Bertrand, Foben, Hilary, Hope, Agnes, Lawrence, Immaculate, any question? Purity. Okay. If you're all good, thumbs up. If you are good, then we proceed. All right. Nice. So how will this be very easy for you to understand? If you don't practice, you will never understand. There is no magic in this thing, right? If you don't practice, you will not understand. So you see all these stuff you are seeing on the screen. You see how easy it is for me to explain. For you to know the stuff, you need to practice it. The more you practice it, that is how you are going to understand. There is no harm. Nothing will happen to your laptop. Nothing will happen to the portal. Nothing will happen to the storage account. So you go in there, play as much as you can play with the different features to understand. Use the access key, play with it. Then use the share access signature, you play with it. Go to the connect button, click on the connect button, play with the different options you are seeing here. See how to connect a storage account, play with it. See how to do blob container, play, file share, play with them. Once you understand them, you go ahead and you delete. You take a pause, you step away from your laptop, you face your mirror, you are lost because you are disconnected. So sorry, the connection will be there. Once you have the recording, you go ahead, watch the recording and play. Play doesn't simply mean you play, you laugh. No, the play simply means you research, you understand, you do the laps. That's the playing part I'm talking about. All right. Everything being equal, we are going to do file share. That's the last one we are going to do. File share. How many minutes do we have? How many minutes left do we have before we close? All right, Collins is saying 8 minutes. We started 55 minutes late. All right. So we have to complete file share. No one is leaving this place till we complete file share. No one is leaving this place until we have launched Linux. All right. Let's see how to proceed. All right, let me close this. Then I'll minimize this one. All right. All right, let me go back now to the storage account. So I'll click back to my storage account. This is the storage account we have been using. So we are going to use the same storage account to do the file share, right? Now, we said, as we discussed last week, and as we discussed today, but before we do the discussion part of file share in the cloud, I'll explain to you all file share on-prem, right? So I'll go to my folder or to my file explorer. This is my file explorer, right? I'll pick a destination. I want to save my stuff. Come on, come on, come on, come on. All right, I'll go to this PC, right? And I'll go to the D drive. Follow along with what I'm doing here. Understand what and how to do it on-prem. Then I'll show you how to do it in the cloud. Now, this is on-prem. I want to create a folder, and I want that folder to be shareable. Gone are those days when people in the same network, they want to share resources and they are making use of Bluetooth, or they are making use of USB cable, or they are making use of other archaic methods. Now, on-prem still, if I'm in the same network, or those in my network, for example, corporate-wise, everyone is under the same network, 100 employees, and the administrator is having a folder he wants to share or she wants to share to the employees. How are those different employees going to have access to that folder coming from the administrator or coming from your boss? Is the boss going to be moving from one place to another, giving the folder through USB key? No, it's not going to work that way. So on-prem, this is how it's been done. It is called file management. Okay. Now, under file management in Windows, we are going to create a folder. You all know how to create a folder. So I am going to create a folder, and I'm going to put the name of that folder, TechUp Youth, right? I'll put the name of that folder, TechUp Youth. Now, a folder has been created. You see, I am slow. I've lowered my tune. The name of that folder is TechUp Youth. What did I spell? Let me rename. All right, the name of that folder is TechUp Youth. All right, we have the name as TechUp Youth. So now this is how, if I go into this folder, we have no files, right? Now, me as the boss of that company, I can go ahead. There are some stuff. I have some files, so I can create files. So I can create simple files. I can put this one as file 1, right? I can create another file just for me to have some few stuffs inside that folder. A folder is a container of files, so I can have file 2. Now, you see this folder. This folder is on my laptop. Now, these different files, they are corporate files, which are very important. So I want all the employees inside the company to have access to these files. Now, these different employees, they are in different departments, or they're in different buildings, or they're in different offices. So how are we going to do it? How am I going to make my employees to have access to these files? That is a question, and that's what we are about to solve. Now, on-prem, I'll come to this folder, right? On-prem, I'll come to this folder. Where is the folder? All right, this is the folder, TECHUPYOUTHS. I'll come to this folder and I'll make this folder a shareable folder. That's what I call file share on-prem. I'll make this guy a shareable folder. How do you make a folder to be shareable? You right click on the folder, you select the folder, you right click on that folder, and you click on see more options first. When you click on see more options, you go to properties. You click on properties. Now, when you click on properties, what are you seeing? You are seeing security, right? You are seeing previous version. You are seeing customize. Are you seeing any share? You are not seeing any share so far, right? You are not seeing any share so far. So let me cancel this guy and I'll come back again to my TECHUPYOUTHS. I will right click, right? I will right click and I'll click on properties. Now let me click on these properties. When I click on these properties, look at what we have. So if I go to advanced, when I go to advanced, you are seeing some few stuff. Let me cancel. Come on. Okay. Let me cancel. If I go to this security, this one here we have, when it comes to file management, there are two types. We have the share level permission and then we have the security level permission. In as much as I'm going to make this guy to be shareable, I can choose not to share to everyone. I can choose to share to some specific employees. How can we do it? I'll explain, but we'll not do it. Right? You see, group or username. All the employees in that company, they are going to be under here. So if I'm in the company, I have Hope, I have Purity, I have Bertrand, I have Chris, and I want to send it to Chris. Chris' name is going to be here, the form of a user principal. I'm going to check, then I'm going to define the permission I want to give to Chris or to whosoever. Then I'll click on apply. So when that person is having access to the share, they can have access to. Now, coming back to this folder, we have our folder. There are many ways or different places where you can put this folder. There are different places. You can still go to your C drive. It all depends on the location. For example, you have a folder here. This is a folder. So I can come to my C drive. Let me do it under my C drive. So it's going to be unique. Let me delete this one. Let me delete this one and we do it again under the C drive so I can delete afterward. So under my C drive, I will create another folder, right? A new folder that I want to use, and I'll put it as TECHUPYOUTHS. That folder has been created. This is the folder. Let me put it this way. All right, this is the folder. I want to make this folder shareable. I will right click and I will go to properties. Let me click on the see more option. Show more option. All right. As days are going on, that's how they're updating stuff. All right. So you see, so previously you will see general, you will see sharing, you will see security. So I want to show you guys that security part. So let me look for the different sharing stuff I have on the system, and then we'll come back there. So you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4 different stuff that we are sharing. So let me show you the sharing part, if it's still there. So you see now more, it is showing now, but the security. Now the sharing part is not showing, but now this is the part to that sharing. This is how that sharing was being activated. But now you realize that that sharing part has been taken out because they are bringing in additional and more advanced way of doing the sharing. Now, to solve this, there is what you guys downloaded. It is called the WinSCP. The WinSCP, it was being downloaded in the course of you guys setting up your system. So if I open up my WinSCP, this is how it looks like. We will not do it immediately. We'll first of all go into our portal. We do our file share first before we come back. They're asking us for update. Do we want to update? It will take us time. Let me see if I can close, and they're going to open us the old version. Let me see. The old one is not coming up, so I need to upgrade that guy. Okay, let me launch the upgrade, then we'll go into the portal, and then we proceed to save time. All right, this is how it looks like. All right, this is how it looks like. Now, this side is my laptop. You see, this side is my laptop. That is why you're seeing the different stuff. This is my laptop. These are my folders. These are the folders I have on my machine, right? And it is coming from the C drive. Now I can change to the D drive. It's all my choice. You see, these are the different stuff. So this is how you can change. Now this part is my laptop. I'll explain this in details. Now, if I want to share something with another person, I am going to remotely bring that person into WinSCP, right? I'm going to remotely bring that person into WinSCP. So the first part you are going to see when you bring this up, they're asking you for, let me close this and bring it up again. Close. This is another research you have to do after the class. It is called WinSCP. All right, once I load that, it is going to bring up the remote login. All right, there we go. Close. All right, so this part now is a login. So what they're asking from here is the person or the system you want to connect to. The system you want to connect to, the system you want to send your files and your folders to. You put the IP address of that person's system, then you put the username of that person and the password. Once you put this correctly, it is going to bring in the system of that person to this other side. So you are going to be seeing your system, then you are going to be seeing the system of the other person. Then how can you do it? You can drag. You see, whatever you want to share, you can drag. Anyways, we'll come to this. But this is how you can do it. One of the ways you can do it on-prem. But now in the cloud, this is what we are going to do. All those stuff we have been talking about, how do we do it? It is very simple. It is very direct by making use of what is called a file share. I will create a file share. How do we create a file share? Next lab. For us to create a file share, you go to the storage account that you have created. You click on file share and you click on classic file share. Once you click on classic file share, they are going to ask you the name. So I'll put the name as TECHUPYOUTHS share, right? TECHUPYOUTHS share. Remember, I told you guys, when it comes to access tier by default, what do we have? When it comes to a file share, transaction optimized, but we have the different options. We have the hot, we have the cold, we have the transaction optimized. So this is the default, okay? Then we have the maximum, the minimum. Leave these ones as it is. Then you click on next. Now, when you click on next, they are saying backup. The backup simply means maybe you want to back up the files that will be uploaded on your file share, right? If you want to back up. So in this part, I'll uncheck the backup. I don't want to back up anything. But corporate wise, based on what they're going to tell you, either you uncheck or you check, it's going to depend on the document. So I'm going to uncheck here. Whenever you are doing backup, there is a service that is being created. It is called a service recovery valve, this guy. service recovery void. So I don't want to do any backup. I'll uncheck. Then I'll click on review plus create. Then I'll click on create. Now my file share is going to be created. I have created my file share. This is how the file share looks like. This is how the file share looks like. Now this file share goes with a virtual machine. Now, next thing, this is my laptop. You see, I have the C drive, I have the D drive. The file share you are seeing there, if me connecting to that file share simply means I want to connect that file share to my laptop. You get, how do you connect a file share to a system? File share can be connected to either Linux, Windows, Mac. So whatever machine the employee is using, you can connect the file share to that person. So explanatory part, for you to connect this file share, these are the different features that you have to go through when you are doing it from your side. Read through what you are seeing. Last week we said there is a protocol that is being used when it comes to a file share. The protocol is called SMB. You see, this is the SMB. And the port number for SMB, who can recall? Port number for SMB. What is the port number? Port number for SMB. Port number for SMB. Someone gave the answer last week. Who can recall? You guys are not practicing one bit, 1%. The port number for SMB is 445. So if, let's do something, then I'll explain. If for you to connect to this file share, it simply means that 445 is supposed to be open on your firewall. You all are connected from internet coming from the ISP. So the person in charge of your firewall is your ISP. So if you want to connect this file share to your laptop, it is going to fail. It is going to fail because by default, 445 is blocked by your ISP, the person giving you internet connection, the person making you to connect to the internet. That 445 is being blocked. So let's try. So I will click on connect. This is how you connect the file share. So when you click on connect, follow up. When you click on connect, you will see Windows, you will see Linux, you will see Mac. We are all using Linux, right? So I'll focus on Linux. The drive letter that you will see after a successful Mac is drive Z by default. So I can change, right? I can change and put drive Y for Yantek or for Yannick, right? You put your name, drive C for Collins. Now you will see storage account key, right? Then you will see Active Directory. I'll leave this part as default. And you go ahead and you click on show script. You go ahead and you click on show script. You go ahead and you click show script. Now, when you click on show script, this is a script that you have to use in order to connect to that file share. So you copy this script. I'm going to explain the script. You copy this script. This is the copy, right? You copy this script. I will first of all try to do it through my laptop. You realize that it's going to fail because by default, the ISP, right? The 445 is being blocked. This is a 445. You look at the script, you are going to see port 445. What is the meaning of a script? A script simply means it is an executed file. It simply means it is a text that has been written for it to be executed. So it's being written in the form of a script. So when you go to a bank and you want to withdraw money from ATM, the communication between you and that ATM is a scripting language. So a language has been written and it has been programmed inside that machine. So when any person is communicating, they're communicating with what is called a script. This is how it's being written. So this script explains a lot. The first one simply means a variable. It simply means go to your system and verify, or to your connection and verify if port 445 is being allowed. This is the meaning of this first part, right? So I'm going to copy the entire script and I'll go to my system and I'll open up PowerShell. I'll open up PowerShell. Everyone is having PowerShell. I will click on PowerShell. Once I open up PowerShell, I am going to paste that script. Now I have pasted the script and the script is running. What is the script doing? The script is checking first my connection to know if 445 is being opened. I know that 445 is being blocked by the ISP. So after waiting, it is going to fail. All right, so let me do enter. You see, we're having error messages. Oh, and thanks for that message. I thought you guys are seeing the screen. You guys were just there looking at. I don't know what you're looking at. All right, this is how it looks like. So when you copy that script, I copy that script, I pasted the script. Let me clear and do it again. So this is a script I copied. When you paste the script, it's going to run. It's going to check for your internet. It's going to check if that port is open based on what has been written on that script. It's going to run, but it's going to fail because the ISP of the internet providers, they have blocked the 445. They don't even know the meaning of 445. So there are two options. You call them, if I click on enter, you see it has failed. If you call them and you tell them that you are learning something in the cloud and you are trying to connect your file share to your laptop, but it's giving you port 445, it has been blocked. They have to open it. They will not understand you because those working there, they don't understand what you're talking about. So you get. So how do you fix this corporate wise? Corporate wise, you create a virtual network and then you use a virtual private network, which is a VPN, right? To bypass this on-prem. Now we are going to do it in the cloud. I don't know how many minutes we have. So in the cloud now, I am going to create a virtual machine and then we are going to do it from there, right? So I will create a virtual machine and that will take us to the end of today's class. We are going to launch Linux today because we're running out of time. So I'm going to quickly create a virtual machine just to complete today's class. So I'll go to virtual machine and I'll click on virtual machine. And I'll put the name. I'll put it as share virtual machine. I'll put it as share virtual machine. I'll just do a simple by default quick one. You just need to have a virtual machine. The image that I want to use, it's for Windows, so I'm going to use Windows 11, right? I'll select Windows 11 and then I'll put the name. You all know how to create a virtual machine. So I just need a running virtual machine. So I'll be a little bit fast. Let me confirm this. Okay. I'll check this. I'll click on next. I'll change this to this, right? I'll just go ahead and click on review plus create so that you can be fast on that. All right, let me check the basic. There's an issue under the basic, so let me check where it's coming from. Okay, I thought I checked that box. All right, so I'm creating a virtual machine running Windows 11. So I'll click on create. So let's wait for that to create. We pray, let it be fast. All right, it's still running. So let's give it a few minutes. Once the deployment is complete, then there are two more things we are going to do. We are going to connect to the virtual machine, and then the script to connect that file share, we are going to run it. All right, we are good. So I'll click on go to, this is not something new, so I'll be a little bit fast with this one. This is my virtual machine. I want to connect to that virtual machine. So I am going to use mobile XTEM, right? I'm going to use mobile XTEM. So I'll click on session. I will do RDP because it is a Windows virtual machine. Then I'll go to this guy. I'll copy the IP address. I'll copy the IP address. Then I'll paste it here. Then the username of that virtual machine is Yantech. I'll click on OK. They'll ask me for the password. Then I'll click on OK. All right, there we go. Then I'll click on no. Always click on no. So this is Windows 11. So while that guy is running, let me bring up, while that guy is running, I'll go now to my file share back. I'll go to my storage account to copy that script. This is my storage account. File shares, right? Under file shares, where is the guy? All right, this is a file share that we have created. Now this is a file share. I want to connect now to this file share. For example, you see, if I click on browse now, you see there is nothing. We have no files. These are the verification. We have no files, right? So I'll go to the overview and I will connect and I will change the drive to drive. Let me pick somebody's name. All right, I will change it to F. Let me take for Ben. All right, drive F. And this is a script that you need to use for Windows. We are doing Windows. If it was Linux, it will change. So we are doing Windows. I will click on show script and I'll copy from here, copy. So once I do that, I will come now to my mobile XTEM. This is my mobile XTEM. This is my Windows 11 virtual machine. This is my Windows 11 virtual machine. This is my Windows 11 virtual machine. It's loading. All right. So you see, this virtual machine is running on top of the virtual network in the cloud. It has nothing to do with my ISP, my external ISP. This one is a completely network running in the cloud. So if I bring up the PowerShell, if I go to this guy in the cloud, the virtual machine, Windows 11 in the cloud, and I bring up PowerShell, this is PowerShell, right? Command line interface. Now look at what happens. Before we proceed, if I go to File Explorer inside that virtual machine, if I go to File Explorer, and I go to this PC, come on. If I click on this PC, you see we have the C drive, right? We have the C drive. You see we have the C drive. Now, after we successfully connect to that file share, we are going to see the F drive, right? So if I minimize this guy, then I am going to paste that script. I have pasted the script. You see, that's the script. It's running. It's checking if 445 is open. So it's going to run. It's going to run. It's going to check whatever stuff they are checking. All right. So I'm going to press enter. And what do we see? What I see here? Successful, right? But on-prem, it was showing on my system. You saw the fail. The failed, as I told you guys, port 445 is blocked by the internet service provider that they are giving you internet. But now in the cloud, I am using my own network I have created, a virtual network. So we have a success. So that guy has been mapped. So if I go now to my file explorer, what are you seeing? My file share. You see the file share. What happens in the file share? I can come into this guy now, and all my stuff that I am creating, all my stuff I am downloading, I can save them there. So if I come here and I say I want to create a folder, and I go to new, I go to folder, and I put TechUp. You see, folder has been created. So let me create a file 1. So you see, as I'm saving stuff. Now all these stuffs I have created here, if I go to the Azure portal, you see, this is my file. This is the file share we created. If I go to browse, you see the stuff. You see the stuff. This is the folder. If I go to this folder, it's empty. That's why you see it's empty. So if I go now to my virtual machine, if I come back to this guy, inside this guy, let me create a folder, the file. Let me create a file and I put it as class. Immediately as I create, it's going to synchronize and it's going to show here. You see, so if I refresh this guy, you see the stuff, you see the class, that's the class. So now that's just how to do file share. I can take this link now, this script now, and I send it to Chris, I send it to Hope, I send it to Foben. Now, if you run it on your laptop, it's going to fail. We know why it's going to fail. 445 is being disabled. If you call the guys, MTN, Orange, Camtel, wherever, whosoever, they will not understand what you're saying because they don't know what you're talking about. They don't know about the cloud. So they don't know about the port. You guys in the course of your networking, they taught you guys how to access your router. So even if I say to myself, I want to access my router 192.168.1, let me check my IP address. Let me check my gateway. So if I do ipconfig /all, my gateway is okay 1.2. So if I come here, I do 192.168.1.254, it's going to load my router, right? It's going to load my router. Now, even inside that router, I'm not in control of my router. You see, this is my router. You see, this is my internet service provider, AT&T. If you check yours, you're going to see maybe MTN or you see Orange. Those are giving you internet. You will see this is how you check. You can do changes there if you want to change it, but don't do anything if you don't know how to do it. So even if I go to the firewall, right? You see, if I call those guys, I cannot control their stuff. So even if I call those guys and say, I'm trying to do something, I need to open up 445 and the rest. They don't understand. So how do companies fix the issue when it comes to connecting file share to on-prem? They will use what is called a VPN, a virtual private network. There is a deeper level of security or tech they are going to be looking at. But so far we have succeeded. So this is it, right? We have the stuff. So you can still, if you can see this is PowerShell, so you can see decide to be using your commands. So I want to know the directories in my computer. I will do dir. You see it's running. Those are directories in my system. Those are directories in my system running. So that guy was being mapped as, was it F, I think. So you see, I've switched to the foreign directory, the F directory. So if I do dir now, you are going to see TECHUPYOUTHS as a folder. You are going to see file 1.txt. So I can use command to move from one place to another. So this is command line interface. This is what we have been doing. So that's how to work with PyShare. And that takes us to the end of today's class. Any question? Is it hard? Be honest to yourself, is it hard? I hope. Is it hard or is it easy? Or is it exciting? Which one?
Not hard.
Lauren said it is hard. It's not hard, it's exciting, but you need to practice. So for you to change that hard to the excitement part, you just need to practice. So I'll send the recording in the next, whenever I receive, but hopefully today. So you guys can go through the recording before tomorrow. So tomorrow, we are done with storage account. Not yet done, there are a lot of things, but to your understanding, your foundational level, we are good. So tomorrow we are going to launch Linux. That's what we are going to be discussing the whole of tomorrow. So let me give you a rundown of how tomorrow is going to look like. We have a lot of discussion tomorrow. All right, a minute, Lawrence.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. I was asking, when you said that you're going to send the recording?
Let's say 2 to 3 hours, you're going to have the recording. All right, so this is what we are going to be looking at tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to enter into Linux. We're going to start with the first module, where I will introduce you all into Linux. We'll discuss about what is Linux. We'll discuss about operating system, the different layers, a little bit of theory, and And then we're talking about the distribution, what you have been hearing me singing all the time: Ubuntu, Linux, Fedora, GBS, CentOS, Rocky, Arma, Kali, and the rest. And then we are going to start typing commands. You see, the terminal and the share. So this is the magic when it comes to Linux. So these are the stuffs we are going to be looking at tomorrow. If you see open the terminal, what are you seeing there? Student are TECHUPYOUTHS. So this stuff you are seeing here, I'll explain to you guys tomorrow. But get yourself ready. Getting yourself ready simply means getting your mind ready. Because this one, it is the best part of tech. It is the most exciting as well as the most difficult if you want it to be difficult. If you don't want it to be difficult, simply means you need to put in your best and all your best to make it easy. So you see, as I move my mouse from one thing to another, I can come back here. You see my portal, I can come back here and you're seeing the way I'm going behind. I'm going in front. You see, I can say, no, let me go ahead and I delete store TECHUPYOUTHS. You are seeing you are seeing the white screen. But when we move into Linux, you'll not be seeing all these nice things here. You'll not be seeing me using my mouse to be clicking. You are using by your hands to be typing commands on the keyboard. That's Linux. So Linux is friendly. It's your friend, but you need to come in with all determination, all concentration in order for you to enjoy Linux. For you to build a career in tech is for you to be good, absolutely good in Linux. If you don't know Linux, you will not have a good tech career. You will not, because everything runs on Linux. Windows runs on Linux, though it is Windows. That's why in the Windows there is something called WSL. WSL. So if a Linux user wants to run, if a Windows user wants to run Linux on top of their Windows machine, I will go ahead and I will do this guy or install WSL. You see, Windows subsystem for Linux, right? You can go ahead and you do this and you install. Once I install this guy, I can start operating my Windows as Linux on top of Windows. iPhone, Windows, Linux, Android, Linux, your TV, Linux, your radio, Linux, your Bluetooth, Linux, your entire life that you're operating on, it's on Linux. So that is why you don't joke with Linux. It's not an option that, hey, I don't want to know it. Oh, it's hard. I know. It's hard when you make it hard. It's easy when you make it to be easy as well. So it is very simple. It's the same with PowerShell. For example, just before we go, you see in here, this is PowerShell. This is PowerShell. How does the screen looks like? It looks dark. It looks black. Just to tell you, before you see the next phase, man, you sweat. But it is just writing command. You see, as I've cleared my screen, what did I type? CLS, right? I know that CLS simply means clear. I've cleared my screen. Now I am in the F drive. You see, that F drive simply means I'm in the drive of 4 right? Which simply means if I use my mouse, graphical user interface, I go to this PC. This is the F drive. It simply means I'm in the F drive. If I want to change, I want to go to the C drive, I will just type C and I will do semicolon and it will take me to the C drive. I'm now in the C drive. You see, if I want to know all the files and directories inside my C drive, what am I going to type? Directory, but I'll not type all directory, I'll type dir, which simply stands for directory. So Linux just simply means you know where you are going to by using commands. So you see it's going to run. Running simply means it's bringing up all the files and folders on my system. So these ones, they are some commands for Windows, you can use them for Linux, but just few. For example, if I do pwd, pwd stands for present working directory. You see, it's both for Linux and for Windows. If I do who am I, you see, it is telling me Yantech. It is both for Windows and Linux. If I do ipconfig is used to check your IP address. This is for Windows. It will not work for Linux. For Linux, you hear me talking of IPE. You see, so if I do IPA here, you see, it will just stand and then it will fail because the system of Windows does not recognize IPA. IPA is for Linux. So this is just all about Linux. Linux is an operating system the same as Windows, but Linux now is more of a command line interface. You can also have graphical user interface, but corporate wise, you will never see graphical user interface. The only thing you will see is command line interface. That's why you have to know there are more than millions of commands when it comes to Linux. Don't be frightened. You don't need to know all the millions because the million is based on specialty. So every specialty, they have their commands to use. But for you, you need to know a good number of commands, right? So these are the stuff that we're going to be looking at starting tomorrow. So come prepared, set your mind that you're coming in for something very difficult. So at the end of the day, if it is easy, you know that no, your mind was already prepared for a challenging one. All right. If there's no question to ask, we are going to call it. We are going to call it a day, and I will see you all